The screen is dark, silent. Then a sound, my voice steady but trembling slightly, not loud, just honest. I was 11 years old when my parents told me they were going to Dubai for 6 weeks. A business opportunity, they said. An investment retreat. They'd be gone during my summer break, but I'd be fine. They promised. A photograph fades in. Me at 11. Missing teeth, gap-toothed smile, wearing a sundress at some family barbecue. Innocent. Safe. I wasn't fine, but I didn't know that yet. The screen cuts to black. Text appears. June 14th, the morning THEY left. The house is quiet, suburban, the kind of neighborhood where everyone knows your business but pretends not to. I'm sitting at the kitchen table. A woman's hands, my hands now at 28, place a photo down. Me at 11. My parents are in the photo too. My mother, Caroline, thin and angular, always checking her phone. My father, Richard, with that smile that made him look trustworthy. It's the kind of smile that works on bank managers and teachers. My parents were successful. They owned a commercial real estate company, not mega wealthy, but comfortable. The kind of comfortable where you have a second bathroom and vacations and your kid goes to private school. I was their only child, their miracle baby. I'm moving through the house now, hand across the banister. The wood is polished. There's a family portrait on the wall, all 3 of us, taken 5 years before they left. I look happy in it. I was an easy kid, quiet, liked to read, made good grades. I didn't ask for much. I think they thought that meant I didn't need much. A flashback. I'm 11, sitting on the same kitchen counter. My mother is packing a small carry-on. How long are you going again? I ask. 6 weeks, baby. You'll barely notice we're gone. Aunt Catherine will be here every day, and Uncle Malcolm will check on you in the evenings. You'll have the house to yourself mostly, which is pretty exciting, right? Grown-up time. She doesn't really look at me when she says it. She's checking her phone, scrolling through something. My father walks in with his suitcase. She's going to be fine, Caroline. She's not 5. She's practically a teenager. I smile because I want to make them less worried. That's what I did. I made myself small and manageable so they didn't have to feel guilty. Back to now, me at 28, staring at that kitchen counter. I wasn't excited about being alone. I was terrified, but I didn't tell them that. They seemed so happy about the trip. It felt selfish to ruin it. The first week is fine, almost boring. Aunt Catherine comes by around 4 p.m., brings me dinner, asks about my day. She's nice, distracted. She has her own family. 3 kids of her own. She was doing her best, I think, but she'd stay maybe 30 minutes. She'd check the fridge, make sure I had food, watch me eat something, then head home. By evening, I was alone again. I'm alone in the house. It's getting dark. I'm watching TV, a rerun of some sitcom. The laugh track sounds hollow in the empty room. The phone rings. I jump. It's my mother calling from Dubai. Hi, honey, how are you? Are you being good? Are you eating? Yeah, Mom. Aunt Catherine brought lasagna. That's wonderful. Listen, we're having such an amazing time here. Your father just closed a deal, a big one. We might stay another week or 2. Would that be okay? I hear the lie before I understand it's a lie. It's in the way she asks, like she's not really asking, like the answer doesn't matter. Sure, that's fine. Perfect. You're such a good girl. I have to run. We're going to dinner. Talk soon. Love you. She hangs up. I'm sitting in the quiet house at 11 years old, and something shifts. Not dramatically, just a quiet understanding that I'm not as important as that deal, that my discomfort doesn't register against her excitement. The days blur together. 1 week becomes 2, then 3. Uncle Malcolm stopped coming by after the first week. He said he was busy with work. Aunt Catherine still showed up, but she stopped staying long. She'd text me instead. Did you eat? Do you have enough snacks? An act like that was the same as being there. I'm older now in the story, 15 years old, watching myself through a different lens. School had ended. Summer stretched ahead. I started spending time at the neighbor's house, the Hartleys. They had a daughter my age, Sophie. They were kind. They invited me for pool days and dinners. I think they realized something was wrong, but they didn't ask direct questions. I remember Mrs. Hartley putting a hand on my shoulder one afternoon, asking if everything was okay at home. I said yes immediately. I lied. Not because I wanted to, but because admitting the truth would have made it real, and I wasn't ready for it to be real. My parents extended their trip, another week, then another month. The story within the story. This is where I met him. His name was Daniel Chen. He was Sophie's older brother, 22, home from college. He worked in his dad's accounting firm downtown. He was smart, attentive. He noticed me. He started coming to the pool when I was there, started conversations, asked about my parents, why I was always at their house. I told him a partial truth. My parents were traveling. He made me feel less embarrassed about it. 17-year-old me. Daniel is showing me something on his phone, a message from my parents. Another week, another extension. My face is doing that thing where I'm trying not to cry. That's rough, he says. Being left alone like that, I couldn't do it. My parents and I are close. He puts his arm around me. It feels good. It feels like someone sees me. I developed a crush on him pretty quickly. It wasn't deep. I was 17. I just liked that he talked to me like I was worth talking to. But then, the turn. My parents finally came home. 6 weeks had become nearly 4 months. I should have been angry. I was angry. But when I saw them at the airport, I hugged them like I hadn't been abandoned. That's what children do. We forgive instantly because we're programmed to need them. They brought gifts, expensive ones, a necklace for me, designer luggage for the house. They were tan and relaxed and full of stories about Dubai. They seemed surprised that I wasn't angrier, or maybe they were relieved. Either way, they didn't apologize, not really. My father said, "You did great, kid. We knew you could handle it." Like I'd passed some test I never agreed to take. But I was 17 now, changed. The world didn't feel as safe. And Daniel Chen had remained in my life. He started asking me to keep our friendship quiet. He said his parents wouldn't understand the age difference, that it might be misinterpreted. I didn't understand why he was talking about friendship like that, but I was 17 and in love with the idea of being special to someone. Fast forward, I'm 18. College is coming up. Daniel has suggested that instead of going away, I should stay local. Go to the state university. We could see each other more. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was being groomed, isolated from opportunities, kept in a small, controllable sphere, by someone who'd identified me as vulnerable the moment he saw me. My senior year of high school, a decision to attend Berkeley, a full scholarship. My guidance counselor is so proud. I called Daniel to tell him. "That's far away," he says. 4 years is a long time to do long distance. You know that, right? I don't know if I can do that. The words are designed to hurt. I said I could transfer, that I could come back, that I'd be close. All the things an 18-year-old in love says when someone is systematically dismantling her future. My parents, distracted by their business again, didn't push. They said it was my decision. College was always negotiable. Family was forever. I chose to stay. This is where the gaslighting really started. Once I'd eliminated my own escape route, he could be honest about the control. 19 years old, living at my parents' house while commuting to a state university. Daniel is living with me almost every night now. My parents like him. He's charming, responsible. He brings wine. He's a man. That matters to them more than they should admit. He started small, criticizing what I wore, saying my friends were toxic, suggesting that my major, psychology, was impractical and I should study business instead. The kind of criticism that sounds like advice, like care. I'm in my childhood bedroom, smaller now, claustrophobic. Daniel is lying on my bed, scrolling through my phone. Who is this guy? That's just Marcus from my class. Seems familiar. Have you been texting him? No, he sent me a project assignment. You could have asked me to explain it. I understand economics. It's not economics. Whatever. Point is, you don't need to text guys. You have me. I'm nodding, apologizing, reformatting my life around his comfort. 20 years old. I'm getting ready for a date with a girlfriend. Daniel appears in my doorway. You look nice. Where are you going? Just with Sarah. We're getting dinner. You should tell her you can't. Tell her you're sick. I wanted to spend time with you. But we just saw each other last night. His face changes, hardens. So you don't want to spend time with me anymore. You're pulling away. That's not what I said. It's what you implied, and honestly that hurts. It really does. The guilt is instant. I cancel my plans. I don't go out that night. Over 3 years, he systematically isolated me. From friends, from my family, from my own ambitions. He had me convinced that I was lucky to have him, that no one else would put up with my issues, my abandonment problems, my insecurity. He had names for all the things my childhood left broken in me, and he used them like keys. 21 years old. Living situation changes. My parents finally decided to downsize their house. Daniel suggested we move in together. He made good money. I could drop out of school. It wasn't working anyway, right? We could focus on building something together. My mother didn't approve, but she'd never really been good at parenting, so I don't think she felt like she had the right to interfere. My father didn't care as long as the bills got paid. We moved into an apartment downtown. He controlled the finances. I worked retail. My paychecks went to him. I didn't understand what was happening. I thought I was in a relationship. I was in an abusive one. The moment came on a Tuesday evening. I was 23 years old and I was crying. Again, about something I'd done wrong. I couldn't even remember what anymore. Stop crying, he said. You're so pathetic when you cry. And something clicked. Not like a movie moment, not dramatic, just a quiet internal click, like a door locking. I stopped crying. Not that night, but gradually. Over the next week, I made a decision. It was cold and clear, and it came from a part of me I didn't even know existed. I wasn't going to leave. Not yet. Leaving would be hard, and he'd made sure I had nothing, no money, no friends, no family connections. But I was going to bury him. I was going to take everything he had taken from me, and I was going to make him understand what he'd done. The transformation was subtle. That's the key to revenge, I learned. It's not visible. I became the perfect girlfriend. More compliant, more affectionate, more grateful, everything he wanted. I let him think he'd finally broken me into the right shape. And while he was basking in that, I started to move. 23 and a half years old. I got a second job, Saturday shifts at a coffee shop. He didn't want me to work more, so I made sure he didn't know about it. I gave him money from the retail job. I kept the coffee shop income. It was maybe $60 a week at first, but I opened a bank account he didn't know about. Different branch, different city. I started depositing it all there. I bought a cheap phone, a burner. No one knew about it. I kept it at work, hidden in the back office. I started recording everything, our conversations, his voice when he got angry, the things he said to me. Not because I was planning to go to the police, I was planning something much more personal than that. At home, I was the perfect victim. Dependent, anxious, needy. It was easy to pretend. I'd had practice from childhood. The thing about being abused is that you become an expert in reading people, in understanding their moods, in knowing exactly what will keep them calm. I weaponized all of that. 24 years old. I started joining his work events again. His firm was growing. They were thinking about making him partner. He liked having me there on his arm, proving he could manage a woman. I paid attention. I watched. I listened. And I started to understand where the money was, not his salary, something else. There were conversations he'd have in the other room, calls with older men, talk of opportunities, investment groups, things that sounded legal but had that edge to them, the edge of people doing something they wanted to hide. I wasn't entirely sure what he was doing, but I knew it was valuable, and I knew he was keeping it from his firm, from his partners, probably from his accountant, which was ironic because he was an accountant. 25 years old, I made my move. I had been working at the coffee shop for a year and a half. I had saved nearly $4,000. It wasn't much, but it was something. It was leverage. I told him I wanted to leave him. We were at home, evening. He was reading something on his laptop. What? He didn't even look up. I want to leave you. I'm done. He laughed, actually laughed. You're not leaving me. You have nothing. No money, no job, no friends. Your family doesn't want you. Where exactly do you think you're going? I was calm. That scared him more than anger would have. Away from you. He slammed the laptop shut. He came to me and grabbed my face with one hand, not hard enough to bruise where anyone would see. You're not leaving. You're never leaving. You understand me. I nodded because I had to, but inside I was somewhere else. Somewhere cold and clean and perfectly clear. That's when I knew I wasn't ever going to leave quietly. I wasn't ever going to cut and run. He was going to experience what I experienced. The feeling of having everything taken away. The helplessness. The humiliation. The slow, deliberate destruction of your own future. The preparation took 2 years. People think revenge is quick. A moment of rage, a confrontation, and it's over. But real revenge, the kind that lasts, the kind that actually changes things, requires patience. It requires discipline. I became meticulous. A filing system hidden in my burner phone. Screenshots, audio recordings, photographs of documents I'd photographed when he was asleep, evidence of the money, where it came from, where it went. I didn't know if it was illegal. I wasn't sure yet, but I knew it was his secret, and secrets are leverage. 25 and a half years old. I hired a private investigator using the coffee shop money and money from a third job, nights at a call center, which he thought was my only job. The investigator was a woman named Rosa. I liked her immediately. I found her through an online forum about abusive relationships. She wasn't a typical pie. She specialized in cases that fell through the cracks of the legal system. Cases where women needed evidence but couldn't get it officially. I sat across from her in a coffee shop that wasn't mine. I didn't use my real name. I'm trying to understand what my husband is involved in. Money-related. I think it might be illegal. I need to know. She nodded like she'd heard this story 100 times. It'll cost money. I'll need access to financial information, maybe some surveillance. Can you get me documents? I can try. Okay, try. 26 years old. I was becoming a detective of my own life. The documents were there, hidden. In a safe in the closet, combination written in code in a notebook he thought was his journal. He wasn't subtle. Men like him rarely are. They think they're too smart to be caught. The code was his mother's birthday, his dog's name, his college graduation year. Inside the safe, cash, lots of cash. Stacks of $100 bills, but more importantly, spreadsheets, written in his handwriting, numbers that didn't match his legitimate income. I photographed everything and put it back. He never knew. Rosa called me 2 weeks later. Your husband is involved in something, not huge but organized. He's been funneling money through his firm, small transfers from client accounts, redirecting it to an offshore account he shares with 3 other people. His partners think he's legitimate. They have no idea he's stealing from them. I felt something then, not happiness, not quite satisfaction, something colder, more complete. He wasn't just hurting me. He was a thief. He was a liar on a bigger stage than I even knew. And those men, his partners, they were going to want to know about it. 26 and a half years old. I contacted a lawyer, not for myself, for a hypothetical situation. If I had evidence of financial fraud, what would the legal consequences be? Would I need to be the one to report it? Could someone else? The lawyer, a woman named Rebecca, was smart. You asking for a friend? Something like that. Okay, evidence can be reported anonymously to the SEC, FBI, or directly to the injured parties. If there's fraud, those agencies take it seriously. If you have documentation, they don't usually care how you obtained it, as long as you didn't break a law yourself. Taking pictures of documents in your own home, that's fine. That conversation changed everything. 27 years old. My 27th birthday. Daniel took me to dinner. He ordered expensive wine. He was in a good mood because his business was thriving. The stealing was thriving. I looked across the table at him while he talked about himself, and I realized something. He'd never seen me, not once in our years together. He saw a reflection of himself, someone to confirm his importance, and I was about to ensure he'd never see anything else again. The plan crystallized. First, I would go to his partners, anonymous initially, give them the evidence. Rosa had documented the accounts, the transfers, the pattern. It was solid. Second, I would simultaneously contact the SEC with my own evidence. Once the investigation started officially, the personal lawsuit would become inevitable. Third, I would leave, but not before ensuring he couldn't follow. I'd take the evidence of his abuse, the recordings, the timeline, the documentation of isolation, and I'd have it ready. If he tried to find me, if he tried to hurt me, I'd have ammunition. The beauty of this plan was that I didn't have to be the victim anymore. I could just disappear. He'd be so busy dealing with his legal problems that he wouldn't have time to chase me, and if he tried, I'd destroy him. 27.5 years old. I opened the burner phone and started a carefully documented timeline. March 2019, first isolation from friends. Screenshots of messages. April 2019, financial control begins. Withdrawal of my name from the joint account. June 2019, physical threats. Recorded audio. I had years of documentation. Names, dates, times, the voice of my own fear on those recordings, a record of exactly what he was doing to me. I wasn't making copies of this evidence for legal purposes. I was making copies for insurance. So if he ever pushed back, if he ever tried to claim I was lying, I could play the recordings. I could prove I wasn't crazy. I could prove I wasn't imagining it. The final piece, money. I had saved $16,000. Half of it, I moved to a different bank entirely. I had done this quietly. Savings account under a slightly different name, my legal middle name instead of my first. Enough to live on for 6 months if I was careful. The other half I deposited back into the account he knew about. So if he checked, which he did obsessively, he'd see money there. He wouldn't panic. He wouldn't move things around. Abusers are paranoid. They're also predictable. He checked our accounts every single day. I knew this, so I let him see what he expected to see. 27 years, 8 months old. I was ready. The anonymous email to Daniel's business partners went out on a Tuesday morning, from a Gmail account created specifically for this purpose. The email contained 3 things. A spreadsheet showing 32 months of fraudulent transfers, documentation of the offshore account, and wire routing numbers. A single line, "This is happening in your firm, you have a thief." And I attached everything, every document, every receipt, every transfer. I hit send at 6:47 a.m. from a computer at the public library. I went to work that day like nothing was happening. I served coffee. I smiled at customers. I pretended the entire architecture of his world wasn't collapsing. By noon, my phone buzzed. Daniel's regular number. "Why are you calling?" I answered, voice calm. "We need to talk. Now come home." "I'm at work. What's wrong?" "Something's come up. Come home now." He hung up. I took my break and went home. He was packing, actually packing like a trapped animal. "Did you get an email?" he asked. "I don't know. My email is mostly spam. Why?" "Someone sent something to the firm about something that's not their business." I watched him. "What kind of something?" "Financial stuff. It's a misunderstanding. It's being handled." He sat down, then stood up, then sat down again. His hand was shaking. Who would do this? Who would know about this? And here's the moment, the twist that changed everything. I said, "What did you do?" His eyes snapped to mine. "What are you talking about?" "You're upset, you're scared, so you did something bad, something that someone found out about." He stared at me. "Did you tell someone?" "No, but I want to know. What did you do?" And he broke, not immediately, but over the next few minutes as he explained, defensive, justifying, minimizing, I understood that the rumors were worse than what Rosa had found. He wasn't just moving money. He was involved in something bigger. Loan fraud, false documentation. His partners didn't even know the extent of it. I realized in that moment that I'd done something. I'd opened a door I didn't know was there. My revenge was going to be much bigger than I'd planned. He gripped my arms. If this comes out, I'm ruined. Do you understand? Everything is gone. Yes, I said quietly. I understand. That night I left. I didn't make a scene. I didn't need to. I left a note on the kitchen counter that said simply, I can't do this anymore. I took one bag, clothes, my laptop, the phone with all the evidence. I had a hotel reservation, a cheap one, paid with cash. And as I was driving away from that apartment, I realized something. The revenge I'd been planning wasn't going to be the thing that destroyed him. It was going to be his own choices. I was just going to be the instrument that exposed them. Part 8, Climax Confrontation, 35-38 minutes. The investigation happened fast. His business partners, once they understood the extent of the fraud, immediately contacted their lawyer, who contacted the FBI. An official investigation launched within a week. Daniel tried to reach out to me. Calls, texts, emails, all going to the burner phone I no longer checked. He tried to reach my parents. They didn't know where I was, that was true. 27 years, 9 months old. I hired Rebecca, the lawyer I'd consulted, not to sue him for abuse, that seemed secondary now, but to prepare, to be ready for when he came looking. And he came looking. 3 weeks into the FBI investigation, he found me. He showed up at the coffee shop where I was working my shift. Thursday afternoon, rainy, quiet. He walked in like he was walking into his own living room. He ordered a coffee like we were still together, and he was just stopping by. When I approached the counter, I knew what was happening. We need to talk, he said. I have a line of people. Come back when I'm done. My manager, Sarah, noticed the change in my tone. She was watching. I finished my shift. I was prepared for this. I'd warned Sarah. I'd given her the number of the woman I'd been staying with, my cousin, actually, whom Daniel didn't know about. He was waiting outside. Get in the car. No. Get in the car, or I'm going to make a scene. Make a scene, I said, and I meant it. He didn't. Instead, he just talked, standing in the rain, begging. I know what you did. I don't know how, but I know. You sent that email. I don't know what you're talking about. You're the only person who could have access to those documents. You did this. You destroyed me. I looked at him. You destroyed yourself. I just documented it. Something flickered across his face. Understanding, maybe, or just rage. If you testify against me, I'll tell them about us. I'll make this about you. I'll make people think you're a scorned girlfriend making things up. I'll destroy you right back. And that's when I played the recording. I took out my phone, not the burner, my real phone, and pressed play. His own voice filled the wet parking lot. You're not leaving me. You have nothing. No job, no friends, your family doesn't want you. Where exactly do you think you're going? Other recordings followed, years of them, his voice controlling, threatening, diminishing. This is going to the police, I said quietly, along with a full statement, along with my timeline, along with the communications from your own business partners about what they're discovering. His face went white. You can't. I can, and I did, 6 months ago. The police have a file, 18 pages, including these recordings. You can try to claim I was a scorned girlfriend if you want, but I have evidence of abuse recorded over years that says otherwise. He tried to move toward me. Sarah appeared in the doorway of the coffee shop, phone already dialing. I got the police, she said, her voice steady. They're coming. He left, walked to his car like a man in a dream, drove away. The outcome took another year to unfold. 28 years old when the trial happened. Daniel was convicted of fraud in federal court. 5 counts. 18 months federal prison with a 3-year probation period. His accounting license was revoked. The firm sued him for damages. He settled for $240,000. The abuse case was separate, a criminal charge based on the recordings and my testimony. His lawyer argued that the recordings were inadmissible, that I'd recorded him without consent, that the whole thing was orchestrated revenge. The judge listened. The defendant's argument, the judge said, is that a woman who documented years of abuse and control is somehow a liability to the truth of what occurred. That's not how evidence works in this court. The recordings are corroborated by witness testimony, by her documented timeline, and by the defendant's own admission of the behavior. This court finds that intent to document abuse for purposes of protection is not criminal. The charges stand. He was convicted of 4 counts of emotional abuse and harassment. No prison time, but a restraining order, and a mandatory abuse counseling program. But the real revenge wasn't the criminal conviction. It wasn't the prison sentence. It was that everyone knew. His family knew. His business partners knew. His new firm, where he eventually got hired as a consultant, found out and terminated his contract. He was radioactive. I got a civil settlement, $80,000 based on the firm's liability in covering up his behavior, my lost wages from the period of isolation, and pain and suffering. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I paid off my debt. I finished my degree. I moved to a new city where no one knew my story. 29 years old. I'm sitting in my own apartment now, small, quiet, just me. No photographs on the walls yet. I'm still learning what it means to decorate for myself instead of for someone else. There's a bookshelf, though, full. Psychology books, mostly, some fiction. A framed photo sits on the windowsill. Me at 11, that gap-toothed girl my parents left behind. People ask me if I regret the revenge. If I wish I'd just left, just moved on, just let him face his own consequences naturally. And the answer is no. I don't regret it. I pick up a coffee mug. It says nothing special, just a simple ceramic mug. But I also didn't need the revenge the way I thought I did. The moment I started planning it, the moment I took back my power, I was already healed. Everything after that was just paperwork, just watching someone else experience the helplessness I'd lived with. I look toward the window. The city is alive with evening light. The thing about being betrayed by people who were supposed to love you is that it teaches you something. It teaches you that you can survive things, that you're stronger than you thought. And sometimes, the revenge isn't about destroying the person who hurt you. It's about proving to yourself that you were never as breakable as they made you feel. A beat of silence. My parents still don't fully understand what happened to me. They've apologized for leaving me that summer, but they don't understand about Daniel. How could they? They barely knew him. They were busy, always busy. I set the mug down. I'm not in contact with them anymore. Not because I'm angry, but because maintaining that relationship requires me to be small again, requires me to not bring my broken things into their clean spaces, and I'm done being small for anyone. The camera pulls back. My apartment, my space, my life constructed carefully and intentionally, one piece at a time. The girl who was left alone at 11 learned something about power. She learned that being abandoned teaches you self-reliance, that being controlled teaches you exactly what freedom looks like, and that sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or violent or dramatic. Sometimes it's just living well, building something good, becoming someone that person will always wish they'd treated better. Final image, the photo of me at 11, then it fades to black. Text appears on screen. Daniel Chen served his federal sentence and was released on parole in 2024. He is currently working as an independent consultant in another state under his middle name. His restraining order remains active. I have since earned my master's degree in psychology and work as a therapist specializing in trauma and abuse recovery. This story is true.